Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you're so welcome. I'm Jane, my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Wednesday we open our home and invite you onto the sofa for a midweek money chat. And let's take a look what we're going to have a talk about this week. So this week's midweek money chat is all about having a frugal Christmas, but I like to start by being reflective. A budget means different things to different people. Being frugal means different things to different people. For some people, being frugal all year round so they can splash out on a holiday or something they've been saving up for, or a great big Christmas is their version of being frugal. And as I always say, each to their own, and that is absolutely okay. There really isn't a right way or a wrong way to do it. Let's get into this topic this week. Every year there seems to be a new Christmas trend, and some of them are of course great fun, but increasingly they are expensive, and I have concerns about these, and maybe you have concerns about them, but what worries me is the pressure that people feel that they should do these things. And I'm going to run through a few of them that are becoming increasingly common and will put a strain on people's finances. And as I said, if it's in your budget and you've saved for it, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing any of these things, but I want to point out that you don't have to do any of these things. Let's take a look at them. First of all, things like the Christmas Eve box. This is now a trend where people have literally a box on Christmas Eve of things to do on Christmas Eve. The Christmas Eve pajamas, the Christmas Eve games, and so on and so forth. So what it actually is more gifts. That's a concern of mine. Not that people are spending their money on it, each to their own, but people feel that they need to do this and their children will be missing out if they don't do these things. So that is a concern. It might be a concern to you. If it is, leave a comment below. Christmas trips. People going on Christmas trips to see something or do something, whether it's going to see a reindeer farm or whatever it is, or a foreign trip, or any of those things. It is a concern that people feel that other people are doing these things and that we're missing out because we're not doing them. So it's a concern, isn't it? And then there's the food things and the food trends, from the charcuterie boards to the huge sharing tables to the cheese boards and all of those things. Every year, and you will notice this, there will be a more and more expensive food trends. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I've said repeatedly, if it's you've budgeted for this and you've saved for it and these things are important to you and you want to do that, but the feeling that people have that they are missing out, or that they should be doing these things, or they should be running up more and more expenses to do these things. Other things like chocolate bombs. These are very expensive. I've seen these in the shops. So it's usually wrapped in cellophane. It is literally a sphere of chocolate, and inside it is hot chocolate powder and marshmallows and all those things that actually are very overinflated, for example, in price, instead of just buying hot chocolate. And therefore people are feeling more and more pressure that they should do these things. Instagram's got a lot to answer for, hasn't it? People feel that they should do these things, but we can stick it out there, and if it didn't go on Instagram, then we didn't do it. So all of these things are social trends, they are commercial trends, and they are out there to make money from you. Make no bones about it, it's to keep the economy rolling and to make money from you. And as I always say, I am not saying doing any of those things are wrong. What I am saying is that I have concerns for people who are feeling very pressurized that if they don't do these things, that their family are missing out in some way. And I want to talk about some alternatives. So let's start having a chat about what a frugal Christmas looks like, because as I've said, it looks different to different people. Well, a frugal Christmas starts with a budget. You deciding in advance how much are you going to spend on food at Christmas? How much are you going to spend on decor, if anything, at Christmas? And how much are you going to spend on gifts? And then working out how are you going to budget that over the year. Are you going to spend an amount of money per month on a gift? We have, as a family, 12 gifts to buy over the years. 6 birthday presents, 6 Christmas presents. And we decide on how much we're going to spend on each one. It just randomly works out to an amount per month. We could decide to buy a birthday present or a Christmas present a month, or, as we do, put the money aside. We decide over the year to put a bit more money aside for food for Christmas. We just put that aside over the year. You could do it differently. Could you buy supermarket savings stamps? Or could you, when the Christmas food starts to appear in September onwards, could you buy some of that each month? Could you buy, for example, a joint of pork in September, put it in the freezer, a turkey crown in October, or a ham in November and put that away? You decide on how you are going to split that budget, but having a decision in advance of how much money we're going to spend on gifts, on decor, and on food really helps you to stay within that budget, because you're not just going out and buying stuff thinking like, oh, that's lovely, and then wondering where the money's gone. That you decide how much you're going to spend or not in advance. Now I want to share with you, or have a chat with you, about some lovely frugal Christmas ideas, some of which we've done, some of which we know people who do these things, and I think they are just as much fun. Let's start off by talking about food. It's very traditional as a British person to have a big roast on Christmas Day. It could be a joint of beef, it could be a big roast turkey, any of those things, and it can amass to quite a amount of money. And I've seen families now who say, well, we're not keen on that. And they actually say to their children, what's your favourite food? We'll eat your favourite food on Christmas Day. And the children will say things, we love spaghetti bolognese. And they have that for a Christmas dinner. And why not? I'm going to read from my notes here now. It's a great idea that people have to buy second-hand Christmas gifts and say, as a family this year, because it will support local charities, what we're going to do is all our Christmas gifts will come from charity shops. Another thing that I've seen families do as a lovely tradition is they swap books. What a really lovely thing to do. Everyone gives each other a book. Another super frugal Christmas tradition is to bring your children up and teach them to have the 4 Christmas gifts. Something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. And that's really lovely, and it gets the children to really think about, what do I actually really want? I can have one thing I really want, so I'm going to think about that very, very carefully. I think it's absolutely okay to say as a family, especially if the children have all grown up, to say, we don't want to give gifts anymore at all. That's okay, and lots of people have made that their new family tradition. And this one's a bit of a controversial one, because I used to love buying a fresh Christmas tree every year, and as they got more and more expensive, I started thinking to myself, so I buy it at about the 10th of December, and by the 30th of December I've given it to the council for them to shred it for compost. Why don't I just take 50 quid out to the garden and put it in the compost bin? So we, like a lot of people, changed to having an artificial Christmas tree. And that becomes a tradition each year. We get it out the loft, we get the Christmas tree out, we get all our favourite old decorations on it that we've had for years. So I'm not saying a fresh Christmas tree is wrong. You might have budgeted for it and saved for it, but it's definitely something to consider. I think it's this one I saw, and I loved this one. It was hanging up the socks, and each year the socks get bigger. Hanging up the baby socks, and then the toddler socks, and then the socks of the 3-year-old and the 5-year-old. And each year the little gifts got just a wee bit bigger, because when they're babies, you know, a little sweetie and a tiny toy, that'll amuse them, if not the wrapping paper and the boxes. We all know about that one, don't they? Another one that I saw was plant exchanges and seeds from people's gardens. And a lovely thing, because who doesn't love to eat something sweet and lovely at Christmas time? All those homemade cookies that people give to each other, and shortbread. British people, we love shortbread at Christmas time. So I hope that those few there that I've listed with you, and if I have missed any frugal Christmas traditions, come on, share them below. Well, thank you for watching, and we love all of your comments and we read every single one of them. So tell me, what does a frugal Christmas look like for you? What does it look like? Leave us a comment. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye for now.